Answers sometimes feel so good to receive, don't they? You have been working and searching for so long, and then, it's there. They can bring us calmness and peace, clarity and comfort, or joy and a sense of satisfaction. It's the pursuit for answers that can sometimes get frustrating and just frankly exhausting. Well, the Toddcast is a place that maybe you can glean some nuggets of perspective that can easily apply to you in your position here at Joe Bullard, your home life, your marriage, your relationship with your child, or just somewhere in your everyday life. Remember, as our friend Andy Andrews says, the quality of your answers are only determined by the quality of your questions. Come alongside Todd and I as we explore topics that might not be what you're expecting. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Toddcast. Like I said, where you get to hear from Todd as he drinks his cup of coffee, because we're on a podcast. And
you have to drink coffee on a podcast.
I don't even know if this is even technically a podcast, but we're acting like
it's not. It's not. It's a Toddcast.
It's a podcast. But we have the table.
We do have the table and the
like
mics.
We have the table.
Yeah, it's official.
Where we come to ask Todd questions that he's unaware of.
But
we get to hear his gut. We get to hear his gut response, and I think it's been pretty powerful so far. So I hope you'll listen. I hope we try to keep them short. Mm-hmm. We know. Let me speak for myself. I know my attention span is not real long. I'm not going to speak for you, Todd.
No, it's short.
But thank God you preach short. Anyways, but they, where we come together and we learn something. There's nuggets of wisdom here, and excited to be here again to ask you another question that We'll see where it goes. So my question today is, how do you notice genuine faith? How do you see genuine faith? What does that mean, like, to you? What is that? Do you understand my question?
No, I understand your question, but this is supposed to be short.
Oh,
so I will
think about the length of the answer when I ask the question.
No. So I will say this, that I think the mark of genuine faith is does someone look, act, respond, give off the same sort of love and humility that Jesus did. And I know that sounds cheesy and simplistic.
Real churchy.
Yeah, and real churchy. It's the Jesus answer.
Sunday morning.
But when you think about it, he was a man of humility. He was a man of grace. He met people where they were, and he accepted them as they were. But he also loved them enough to not leave them in their muck and their mire, but to say, I want to help you take the next step to being the better version of you, right? And so genuine faith, I think, looks a lot like that. It's someone who is humble. It's someone who puts others above themselves. It's someone who serves. It's someone who I think just leads with love. And I think all of those things go into what genuine faith looks like, right? So that's how that. So it's not a set of this person does these things and this makes them good. It's a lifestyle and it's a way of being.
Yeah. Does anybody, when I say that, ask that question, and you're thinking of an example, who comes to your mind? And I'm not saying anybody that listens to this is going to know this person.
No, right.
Is there an example that comes to your mind? Is there a person that comes to your mind that you're willing to share?
Oh, yeah. So I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of those people in my life. And some of them have been family members. So I would say that both of my parents have been huge examples of Christ to me over the years and what genuine faith looks like. And they're by no means perfect. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they wish they could go back and do different raising three boys. Yeah, they raised three boys.
Amen.
Too. So
I'm right there in the middle.
Yeah. So anyway, but they were they loved and they cared and they were honest and they were hardworking and all those things that you see as the outer expressions of what a good life looks like. But deep down, I saw their faith in their genuine care for other people. So Jesus himself said the two greatest commandments are to love the Lord your God with all your heart and to love others as yourselves. And that was what I experienced in my family. But then I have numerous mentors that did that for me too. So pastors, the first person that I worked under was a huge example of that. My college minister, the guy that was over the college ministry that I was a part of and that discipled me one-on-one, he was a huge example of that. And John Schmidt, who lives in Prattville, Alabama. John Ed Matheson was my pastor. Keith Waldrop was the first guy I worked for. All three of those guys became huge examples of Christ for me because they were humble. They cared about others, and they just exuded love and care and peace.
Yeah, that humility is, God, it's so attractive.
Oh yeah,
it is so attractive. Like, when you're in a place with somebody, when you're in a relationship, and you have a conversation, and you sense that humility, man. And it's generally like a vulnerable moment. Like it's like it leads with vulnerability, and you're just like, I like you so much more right now, even though you just said something that probably didn't feel like you feel like I got. It's just this magnet.
Yeah, and here's why. Because vulnerability is actually strength. We think about it as weakness, but it takes a lot more strength to be vulnerable than it does to put up a barrier.
It takes some guts.
It takes a lot of faith in your who you are and whose you are.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, I'm thinking of an example this week where I held something for 20 minutes and I didn't say it. I did eventually say it, but I sat and thought about it for 20 minutes. I was in a little room of guys. There was 8 of us, 7 of us, whatever. And I held this for 20 minutes because I was going in here, here, all in this thing here was like this battle of, should I say it? Should I not? Yeah. Maybe I should. What happens if he doesn't accept me? Like, I mean, it's this whole thing. Yeah. And eventually I just at some point knew it was the Spirit enough that it tipped me over the edge.
And I
mentioned this simple question that was kind of a vulnerable statement. And it was amazing how the floodwaters opened and it changed the whole dynamic of the meeting. And I don't say that to brag on myself, but it was just used through me, and it was a neat moment that when you're used by God, it's just a really powerful thing.
Right. And so I think that people tap into humility and vulnerability because we all long for that.
Do you see a lot of humility in the business world?
Yes and no. I think that there are vulnerable, humble people, but I think oftentimes vulnerable and humble people, because of their roles, put on a mask.
You mean people have masks?
All the time.
Let me get mine.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I mean, that's a true statement there.
Yeah,
a lot of truth there.
I know people even in this company who present as very is very strong and very, what's the right word? Not arrogant, but
confident.
That's a better way.
Is that a better way?
Very confident. But there is underneath there is vulnerability and humility that's there, and it's powerful and it's real.
That's great stuff. That is great stuff. I tell my kids, if you could just lean into vulnerability and humility, just don't forget those 2 words. You forget a lot of other words in life, but don't forget those 2 words.
Right.
And you'll have to kind of figure that out.
And when you are that, then you see the goodness in other people, and you can and it's easier to love and meet people where they are.
Yeah.
If you yourself are humble and vulnerable.
Gosh, good stuff. That's good stuff. Thank you, Todd, once again for fielding my questions that you're not aware of. So that's good. I mean, that's really good. I hope that certainly is helpful for me. So, there's little nuggets in there and a lot of truth, which is what we want to talk about.
That's right.
Thanks again for your time.
Sure.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the Toddcast. Till next time.